Hi, I'm Trisha at Club Scrap with the Woodland Christmas Page Kit Assembly Workshop. I've got my instructions printed and ready to go. Of course, your printing them is completely optional. I know a lot of people just keep them on their tablet and follow along with me like that. And I have my Fiskars 12-inch guillotine trimmer. These are back in stock here at Club Scrap, so if you don't have one, make sure you get one because this is the trimmer that beats them all. I mean, for the best price, lightweight, sharp blade, they're wonderful. And then I'm also using my accordion pocket file organizer. So this is what keeps all the pieces all straight. We're going to sort them into one of 4 pockets, one pocket for each double page spread. If you don't have this yet, no worries. Reach out to us at Club Scrap. We'll help get you set up. But then in the meantime, just keep 4 separate piles, one for each of the pages or double page spreads we'll make. So let's go ahead and set aside all these fantastic goodies we've procured for the collection. And as is our tradition, we'll sort through the paper collection and get all those sheets in the order that we're going to be using them. Okay, so the best way to view all of your beautiful papers is just to hold them on their side. I usually put them in my arm so I can just sift through from the top edge. And then I want you to go ahead and find the print that has this cute little fox on it. This is the first piece we're going to trim, and I want you to put it face down on top of your paper trimmer. And then find the one that has the florals, just florals on it, and we'll put that face down as well. Next, find 2 of the reds. Now there are 3 in your kit, and I only want you to grab 2 of them. Now notice there's a texture on one side and it's smooth on the other. I'm going to put the texture side facing down. The same for the green that I'll find next. So just find 1 green. Again, beautiful texture. Make sure you only have 1. It is heavy paper, but still just make sure it's 1. Then white, again, texture down. So many beautiful textures in this kit. We have this nice 100-pound coverweight craft, and we're going to grab 2 of those. So 1, 2 craft. Next, I want you to find the cut apart that has this bear with Christmas magic on him, followed by this one with the red strip along the edge. Next, we'll find the other floral print, put that face down, followed by a red plain, texture down. A fox print will be next, and then a white plain. It gets easier and easier to find all of these papers as we have fewer of them in our arm. How about another white plain, followed by craft? And we'll finish off with the 2 dark green that you have left, face down. Okay, I'm going to flip everything back over so that the fox print that we started with is back on top. And I'm going to go to page 1 of my instructions, and we'll get everything ready to go here. Place this print into the trimmer so that the print is right side up, and we're going to go all the way down to 4.5 inches. So if it's your first time with the trimmer and you're a little hesitant about it, just remember that when you find the whole number 4, first of all, be sure you're looking at not centimeters, but inches. Go to the left to increase it to 4.5. Go to the left by 2 columns. So 4, 4 1/4, 4.5. Before every cut, I want you to stabilize by pushing on the clear bar and then just slice. Both of these pieces are used in layouts 1 and 2, but they're a little big, so I'm just going to put this on the bottom of my big stack over here. Okay, next, I'm going to have you take the floral print, and I want you to situate it so that this little green Y-shaped piece is on your right. And let's cut at 9 and 3.5. 3.5. Okay, so take this piece you just created that goes in pocket 3 and 4. And then we're going to take the next strip, doesn't matter which way it goes in, just so it's horizontal, and cut at 11 1/4. 7.5 and 3 3/4. Gather up the 3 rectangles that are the same, and those will go in pocket 3 and 4. Then you have another long strip, also 3 and 4, and there's going to be a small little scrap, which I'll set aside. Now, for those longer pieces, I put them in the pocket at an angle so that I'm not trying to squish this paper down, this 12-inch wide paper, into a 12-inch wide file, okay? Now, I'm going to turn to page 2, and I'm going to grab 1 sheet of the red that's in our stack here, and we're going to make a whole bunch of cuts on this. The first one is at 11 3/4. then 11.5, then 10.5, 9.5, and 5 3/4. This larger piece, you can put it in pocket 3 and 4. Lots going in there right now. This next one we'll pick up and trim horizontally at 11.25. Next, you can pick up this wider piece. We'll cut at 11.25, 7.5, 3 3/4. Gather up the 3 pieces that are the same. That goes in 3 and 4 also. You have a small scrap. Then you have some strips that are wider and the same width. Put one of them in 3 and 4 and the other in 5 and 6. And then you have these 2 narrow strips going into pocket 1 and 2. Pick up the next red. We're going to cut this at 6.5. Then rotate and trim at 7.5 and 3 3/4. Place this piece in pocket 1 and 2. And the next 2 pieces, they're different sizes. They both go in 5 and 6. Pick up the remaining 5.5 by 12. We'll cut horizontally at 11.25, 7.5, and 3 3/4. Gather up the 3 rectangles, and those are going to go in 7 and 8. And you've created a small scrap. Reach for one of the green that you have set aside now, and we're going to cut this at 10.5 and 6 1/4. Rotate the 6 1/4. We'll cut at 8.5 and 4 1/4. You made 2 pieces the same size. Those go in pocket 5 and 6. And then pick up the rectangle. We'll trim at 6 and 3. To make 2 rectangles that are the same size, those go in pocket 5 and 6, and then there is a small scrap that you can dispose of. The next wider strip will trim at 6 1/4. And place this piece in pocket 5 and 6. The other slightly smaller one, that's going to go in 1 and 2. And then this strip goes in 5 and 6. Now, I should have said this earlier. I'm sure I'm going too fast for you if you're new to this, but there is a remedy to that. If you adjust your playback settings to a little slower, like 0.75, or really slow to 0.5, you may not have to press pause as much. But let me encourage you, the more you work at this, the more proficient and quicker you'll get with the whole process. Now, on this white, we're going to cut it at 11 3/4, then 8, and 4. Make sure you stabilize on that clear bar each time. Stack up the 2 strips that you just created. They should be the same. Trim them horizontally at 6. 2 of them go in pocket 1 and 2, and the other 2 go in 7 and 8. This next one we're going to slice at 11.5 and 5 3/4. Both of these pieces go in pocket 3 and 4. And this tiny little strip, 7 and 8. And there is a small scrap once again. Sorry about all those scraps. Take 1 craft. We'll cut this at 10.5 and 6 1/4. We'll rotate, cut at 8.5 and 4 1/4. That's kind of all I reviewed from what we did from the last sheet. Both of these go in pocket 1 and 2. We'll take the next rectangle. We'll trim at 6 and 3. 6, 3. Stack up those rectangles, 1 and 2. Tiny little scrap. Next strip, we'll trim at 6 1/4 again. Both this larger and slightly shorter piece, they both go in pocket 7 and 8, along with the strip that we created at the end. Boy, here we go. Craft once again. We'll cut at 11 1/4. 10. 8 3/4. And 6 1/2. rotate and trim at 9 and 4.5. You can take the 2 rectangles. These are pretty big. Those are going to go in 5 and 6. This one we're going to trim horizontally at 3 1/4. These 2 rectangles go in pocket 7 and 8. The large strip, 7 and 8. The next smaller one, 1 and 2. The next one, 3 and 4. And the skinniest one, 5 and 6. Now we've come to the cut aparts, and what I want you to start out doing is just remove the outer perimeter of the sheet by using these little hash marks as a guide. So line up the mark with the edge of your trimming blade as best as you can. If you want to just go a little shy of the mark on your first cut, and then just rotate your way around, and if you've cut it well, you will end up with a perfect 12 by 12 sheet of paper from which we will pick up with our instructions. I want you to do that with this sheet and with the other cut apart sheet as well. Once that's done, you can throw away all those little scraps. All right, we'll go back to this one that has this craft colored strip on the right, and we're going to trim at 11 and 10. Let those pieces pile up. 7.5 and 4. Rotate, trim at 10 1/4 and 6. All right, this larger piece we're going to put in 7 and 8. The owl, 3 and 4. And then this guy, 5 and 6. Then for the next strip, we'll slice that at 10 1/4 and 7.5. These 2 pieces, the green frame and the big elk, that goes in 1 and 2. And then we have a little journaling prompt going into pocket 3 and 4. Now this next piece we'll trim horizontally at 10.5, 8 3/4, and 6. All right, this guy goes in 5 and 6. This cute little fox, 3 and 4. A little Noel, 1 and 2. This next one we can just cut in half at 1 1/4. And the, let's see, this one here, Dear Santa, I think that goes in 7 and 8. And then May the Spirit of Christmas goes in 3 and 4. This green border strip, 1 and 2. And then the craft border strip, 3 and 4. Slide this next piece into the trimmer. Make sure the red border is on the right. And we're going to cut at 10 3/4, 9.5, 8 3/4, 8, 6, and 3.5. Quite a bit of cuts there. Rotate this one, and we're going to trim at 6.5. This large piece and the other one, they both go in pocket 5 and 6. This next one, we'll place Joy on the right and trim at 7.5, 5, and 2.5. That might be your last cut. Okay, so this journaling prompt, 5 and 6. The next one, 1 and 2. This last one, 7 and 8. Joy goes in 1 and 2. Pick up the remaining little strips. The Christmas tree on a sled, 7 and 8. And then 'Tis the Season, 5 and 6. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, 3 and 4. Joy, Hope, Peace, Believe, 5 and 6. And then the red one, Good Tidings, 7 and 8. That is it for the trimming. I got my accordion pocket file completely loaded up here. I'm going to get rid of my trimmer and just lay this on its back. And then I want you to turn to the final page of your instructions, and we will dry fit our pages from bottom to top. So in other words, we're going to start out with pages 7 and 8 and then work our way to layout 1. So what I want you to do is take the entire remaining stack of paper, place it left of the center of your work space and move the top piece over to the right. I'm just going to try to duplicate what I see in my instructions. I've got this pretty flower up here, poinsettia down over here. It's looking nice. And then I'm going to empty pocket 7 and 8. Make sure you don't accidentally empty pocket number 1. I've done that because we're not used to, I was working backwards. That's okay. All right, so I've got everything kind of in my hand so I can easily find it and deal it out. Now I'm going to start out with this wide craft border strip along the left edge of my layout. I've got a little bit of the red peeking past, and I'm going to nest it with this Christmas tree strip here. Then in the end, I wasn't even going to use this little white strip, but I decided, you know, why not? I'm just going to put it right there. Why throw it out, right? If you can use it, then you should have like a larger photo mat in craft that should nest. So if it doesn't, grab a different one. One of them is a little smaller. Oh, that fits perfectly right on there. I did round the corners of this, but that's completely up to you. Then horizontally across the bottom of this left side, I'm going to put 2 white mats, and that should puzzle in there perfectly. And then 2 angled craft mats above it. Look at that. Now on the right, I'm going to have a row of 3 lovely papers here, red, and then a horizontal strip nested with good tidings. So positioning wise, you'll have to kind of fiddle with this until you get it the way you want it to be situated. If you don't mind, just fussy cut around the frame here and tuck that on top. Now on the left side of the layout, I added one of my tags. I popped out the, carefully popped out the reindeer, and this fits right on top of there and it fits in that spot. Now instead of taking the time to glue all this down together, I'm just going to share some finishing tips with you in the making of the final pages. So in your kit, you have this luscious sheet of Dazzles stickers. These have a nice sparkle to them, and they just do a nice job of accenting. So it's accenting with class. Check out these cute little corners here. And then I added some of the jute included in your kit to the top of the reindeer and used bookbinding glue to attach them into that spot. Here I have the punched out reindeer with the smallest jewel dazzle on his nose. Now when you are attaching them, I recommend using the tip of a craft knife. Definitely is the easiest way to peel them off the sheet and place them where you want them to be. On the left side, again, classy, just 3 little dots. Isn't that sweet? And then down at the bottom, another little red reindeer nose. Pop dotted this. I trimmed around it closely with the scissors, added some of that Petersham ribbon, and then topped the snowflake with some jute. This whole thing is pop dotted also, the tag itself, before I added it to the page. Isn't that sweet? Love that layout. And I'm going to take the base of layout 7 here, just the red. I'm going to slide it, stack it on top of 8, and then take this next one and slide it over. And that puts me at this image right here for layouts 5 and 6, which means it's time then to empty the pocket labeled 5 and 6. And here we go. Same thing. I'm going to put everything in the palm of my hand to the best of my ability. And across the bottom, I'm just going to tell you right out, there's a craft. This won't be clear in the picture. There's a piece of craft paper, and then I took this beautiful green twill. It has a metallic wove woven into it. I always check the grain direction of my ribbon to make sure it's curling inward. And what you can do is just wrap this around the green, or adhere it to the green, and then wrap the green ends around the back of the actual base of the layout. It's going to give you a nice sturdy surface to keep this level straight, and that'll just be a nice accent for the left side of that page. You can take the wider green strip and place it vertically on top of that piece then, and nest it with the joy, hope, peace, believe. And then again, if it's your desire, you can fussy cut this. And by fussy, I mean it should take you like 10 seconds to just trim around this. Really easy. Maybe you can sit in front of the TV and do that or something with a loved one. Now, 2 larger vertical craft mats. So these are 4.5 by 6.5, which means we can place a 4.25 by 6.25 green on top of them as a nest and still have a 4 by 6 photo in these two spots. And I kept them vertical. I thought it'd be great for your tree if you have a Christmas tree. This can go along here on the bottom with your little fussy cut or not. And then I did also use the laser cut tree right over here. Now on the right side, you've got a larger piece to carry through some red, nesting with green. Then on the bottom, yeah, oh, I should be rotating this. I didn't even realize my owl is sideways, so let me just rotate that. This is why we dry fit. Okay, so I've got this kind of on top of the owl, and I'll show you a trick to put that owl back in the foreground. Then I've got the red strip with "'Tis the Season." And then two little vertical green mats should fit right on top of the red rectangle. Our elk with a journaling prompt and a tag. The tag was right up here along with the snowflake charm. So that's basically the placement. Let's go over some finishing touches here. Now on the right side, you can see I punched out the reindeer. And then I took some black scrap paper and I just taped it behind the opening and I popped out of the reindeer, just offset it a little bit to give it some dimension. Love how that turned out. And I also popped out of the tag itself. Stapled this ribbon onto the tag and then tied a bow on top of the snowflake and glued it over the staple. So this bow is actually covering the staple. I think that's a really cool tip for finishing that particular embellishment. I love how that turned out. Here, I marked my final desired spot for this mat with a pencil right here on the left side of the owl and then here on the right side. Then I took my craft knife and I carefully cut around here. That is completely optional. If you don't want to do the craft knife trick, of course it's not a big deal. Just cover the owl. No one's going to know. You can see the craft work, the knife work on the back here shows through, and it just keeps him in the foreground in kind of a cool way. Over here for page 5, just some jewel dazzles. Usually those are the last thing I add. Like once all the pages are done, glued down, I just go crazy with the jewel dazzles. And in my opinion, you just can't go too crazy. I absolutely love those. Here you can see how neatly that piece all worked out. And I believe I have those ends taped around on the base of my page. And that's just a very simple layout number 5. And now I'm going to do the stack and slide again. So I'm going to slide this on over and stack it on top. And I'll take my next piece here, the white, slide that over. That gets me ready for layout 3 and 4. And I need to flip over to whatever page this is, page 4 of my instructions. And then we're going to look right here at the bottom and empty everything from pocket 3 and 4. We got a lot of big stuff in there. I'll take that out. And again, if I can do it from the palm of my hand, it just seems to be the easiest way to get everything distributed. This larger red piece is going to go vertically here. I believe I left a little bit of the white showing. Then we have the one of the florals over here that has the larger leafy flower, and then I did this poinsettia kind of more on this side. Okay, then separating that out, I'm going to take the red and nest it with "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." On the right, I'm going to take the craft and rest it against the floral here and nest it with this strip. Now, going across this red, we've got the 3 prints that I've trimmed to be the perfect height so we can film strip them. Look at that fit. Very, very lovely. And then I fussy cut this little framed piece. I've got a journaling prompt. I'm going to use one of my tags over here along with that tiny little quote that you can fussy cut with scissors if you like. I used a cute little deer charm on here. And then on the, yes, a fussy cut fox up here in the corner. Now, I measured this all out and tested it with regular paper on my original effort to make sure this would fit nicely. So we're going to puzzle in 2 white horizontal longer pieces and then 3 squares. Look how nicely that looks. Makes me very, very happy. Finishing touches here on these. Again, if you don't mind the extra minute or 2 it's going to take to just take scissors and roughly go around these shapes. It doesn't have to be real perfect, but I do think it adds a nice dimension to this. This has been pop dotted. Always careful not to put any adhesive behind anything that overlaps where a photo needs to go. Added the little jewel dazzles, of course. And then here's my little jute-topped reindeer charm, deer head charm, I guess. And then my also offset little guy here, along with, this is pop dotted. And then for these, I added some jute to the top of the tag and just like glued down the knot so it wouldn't be moving all over the place. Then on layout 3, nothing at all on this except for just a row of those sweet little jewel dazzles on either side of the page title. And now I can take layout 3, slide it on over, and slide it one more time. Now I have everything I need for layout 1 and 2, so I'll just take everything else out of the pocket. Except you remember we put those other larger pieces on the bottom of the stack, so that worked out really nice. I'm going to grab those. And all of this stuff. Okay, so this larger piece I'm going to place on the right, and then this one on the left. I like to just kind of separate these larger pieces with what I call a paper ribbon. So that's going to go right up against the edge there on each side. What else? Let's do a border across the bottom. We've got this craft, and then we can nest it with the title, Let Heaven and Nature Sing. And then there's going to be a little journaling prompt kind of in that general area. On the left, we've got our Blessed Be Your Holidays. Should be a red rectangle that we can add beneath that. And then 2 small craft mats. On the right, look for a mat. Your final little craft tag with the little deer and a little charm and everything going on there. Now, on this side, we've got some craft mats nested with white. Tuck in the little ladder of joy. And then we have our at Christmas all roads lead home kind of nested in with this. Again, both can be fussy cut to your heart's desire or left as is. That's entirely up to you. It doesn't take much effort, so that's why I did it. In fact, I just did it all before I even started planning my pages, and they turned out great. Here is layout 2. Some basic finishing things is I did a multiple wrap with the jute around this cut apart, and then I ended up tying a knot, then thread the charm onto the knotted area and then make your bow. So that just gives it a really nice finished touch there. Here, again, this is 2 pieces of ribbon. I always like to point that out. So I threaded a short piece through the tag and taped it on the back. Then I made a basic bow and stuck it on top with a glue line rather. And then here I tied the charm on and added him. So it's like a double, triple bow. And then here the cute little jewel dazzle does so much. I think I took some of the scrap. I'm pretty sure I did. In fact, I did. Took this and just doubled it up. It wasn't even wide enough to really cover the whole area, but I used it to create some red behind the tag. So those are some good little tips for you that you would miss if you don't watch the video. And then here made a basic bow out of this gorgeous green metallic twill. Some jewel dazzles on the fussy cut journaling prompt. Jewel dazzles up here just to finish things off. Pop dotted this a little. And then one final jewel dazzle on the nose of my favorite little reindeer pop out from the tag. Isn't this a fun set of pages? It gets me really excited about the upcoming holiday season. It's going to be a different one this year, I think, again, everyone. So I hope that you're able to lean on the joy of your crafting time and also the joy of being able to spend time with family and friends. I hope you have a blessed holiday season, and I look forward to seeing you in class again soon. Thanks for joining me.